Well, hey, and good morning. It's Tanya here. Tanya Smith with StreamLikeABoss.tv and Get Noticed with Video. I want to share something with you. I came up with a series for the next 4 weeks, so this is going to be lesson one of four, to talk a little bit about how to simply start streaming. So if you've been struggling with this whole idea of going live, you've been saying, I'm going to do it, and something has just been holding you back. And maybe part of it is just asking yourself, how? How do I actually get started? Well, that's the purpose of this series, and we're going to start with lesson one today, which is about planting your flag. So, if you want to know more about me, I'm not going to go into a deep dive about my bio and all of that. I am here with you live today. If you do have any questions, feel free to put those into the chat. If you're here watching live, I want you to let me know if you're an OG or a newbie. So, I have a lot of folks in my community, especially the Stream Like a Boss camp, and I'll go ahead and put our little subscribe and join us in our community message here. But in our Stream Like a Boss network, we have many sisters and some brothers as well who are learning how to use more live stream video so you can sell your services, stand out online, and simply serve more people. Most of who I work with are women who are coaches, consultants, and course creators. So you're in the service business and you need a way to actually serve more people. But it is frankly hard to do this on social media, isn't it? Right now, there are so many people and there's so much pull on our attention and time that it's difficult to stand out. So I want to show you ways that you can really leverage live stream video to do just that. If you are an OG and you've been with me for some time, type in hashtag OG. If you're brand new and this is the first time you've ever seen me broadcast live, type in hashtag newbie. I want to acknowledge you either way and say good morning and hello. I do not usually show up live. I'm so glad that you can be here as well, Miss Virginia Jen. I'm usually not live first thing in the morning. I'm actually off today and I'm going to go ahead and try to get some relaxation time in, but I needed to deliver this message and didn't have an opportunity to do so on our regular date and time, which is usually on Thursdays. So I'm doing this right now because I want to make sure that this word gets out. And I appreciate your confirmation there too. Thank you. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to actually go into a presentation mode here shortly because I literally have put together some notes. This is going to be a structured series over the next, today and then the next 3 weeks we'll cover in March, how to simply start streaming. If you have questions, as I mentioned, or comments, put those in. I'll also check, even if you're watching the replay, just type in hashtag replay so I don't miss your message wherever you're watching from, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Do that, and that way I can make sure to acknowledge your questions or your comments. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up some information and we'll get to going. We'll get rolling, and I won't go longer than 30 minutes. It probably will be even less than that, but I want to tackle something here for you. This is going to be the structure of the series. So we're going to talk first of all about planting your flag. That's today. When I talk about that, there are three specific things that I really want to cover. Again, we're talking about planting your flag, but the rest of the series is going to focus on the three things that you see on screen. So we want to focus on setting the scene, where I want to talk a little bit about gear. I want to keep this simple, and I want to make sure you understand you don't have to keep it complicated. You don't have to go out and invest in a whole bunch of tools and stuff that you'll never use, nor do you have to choose a platform, which is in our third part of the series, that is going to give you angst and more anxiety and keep you from doing video. The goal and the purpose really is to simply start streaming. So I want to give you the simplest tips that I can to help you to really move the roadblocks out of the way and get started doing more live, sister. That's what we're here to do. So common mistakes will be our final of the 4-part series. But let's dive in because I just want to talk to you a little bit about this whole idea of planting your flag. And again, I am paying attention to the comments because I'm here with you right now live, okay? All right, so planting your flag. The reason why I needed to mention this, the reason why I wanted to definitely talk about this is because one of the most important things you can do when you're trying to simplify and to simply start streaming is to define who your audience is and what you're going to talk about. And we'll get into this with common mistakes, of course, but one of the things that is so important and so key is to really know who is it I'm talking to. And we'll dive into why in just a second. But this is where you need to start. And what I see is a lot of folks that start streaming before they ever even know who their audience is. Like if you're not clear on who you're speaking to, you're talking to a whole lot of people. And there are some potential issues with that that could create complications and keep it from being as simple as you want it to be. Okay? That's the real deal. So let's dive in. First of all, let me do this and back up a little bit because I didn't share why you even need to be live streaming in the first place. So I'm doing this live right now and I'm doing it from a very simple platform. And again, I'll talk about this when we talk about choosing your platform in lesson 3. But I'm doing this because I want to show you how easy it can be. There are really 3 main reasons why I found live streaming to be super important. And as I mentioned, I'm not going to do a whole lot of dive into my own personal story and bio. What I will tell you is that the core of this particular session, this series that I'm doing, is to help you to prepare so that you can join our more advanced level program. We have a course that's going to be coming out called Launch Your Live Stream Show, where I will go in more depth and I will share some statistics and some data around why live streaming is a benefit. But these are 3 high level reasons why you really want to consider live video. First of all, it allows you to really humanize your brand and connect with your audience on a deeper level. When you're doing live video, you have an opportunity to really connect with people on a heart, head, and any other type of level you can think of because you're speaking to them with your voice. They can see you. They can feel your emotions through what they see through the visual, right? All of those things can be so impactful and can really help you to make that person-to-person connection, which people have been fiending for. Like they want more personal interaction. People want to deal with people. They're tired of dealing with big corporations and organizations and big massive buildings. They want to talk to another human being. And so now is an excellent time for you to be able to reach your folks, to reach them as the person that you are. Even if you do have a large business, whether you have a large or medium or small business, or you're just a solo like I am, you have an opportunity to connect with people as a human being. And live streaming lets you do that because you get to interact and to, you know, get that energy and that boost from the people that are attending, but also give it back to them tenfold because you're answering their questions live and you're participating, right, in a conversation, not just a lecture. And that's something that I think is the beauty of live streaming. So the other thing I would share, there's 2 others that I give to you as or offer to you as benefits. There are so many more benefits that we'll talk about in the future course, but high level repurposing power is incredible. The ability to be able to repurpose, to actually take a live stream video and multiply that, right, 100 times into content that needs to be out there showcasing who you are 24/7 and what your business is about 24/7. When you take a video and you break that thing down into multiple pieces of content, let me tell you what you can get out of it. I'm just going to give you, again, real high level, but you can take a video and you can convert that into audio. That can become a podcast. You can convert that video into text by getting the transcript made and that becomes a book. It becomes a blog post. It becomes image quotes. It becomes short clips that you can now use in your TikToks, in your reels, in your stories. There are so many different ways that you can repurpose your live stream video, and you'll probably see me doing that even with this series. You can turn it into Pinterest images. There are just so many different ways you can do that. So connecting with your audience on a human level and then the repurposing power, those are two biggies. But the third one I'll share with you is that it is super easy and affordable to do live streaming. When I talk about the affordability, a lot of people look at me with a side eye like, what? But I'm going to tell you it's easy and affordable because the thing is, when you think about, yes, absolutely, it is amazing that you have these benefits, and there are more. When you think about the power of live, back in the day, we used to have to hire a whole videographer and a studio and have a whole bunch of other things in place before you could ever do anything like what we do now. Today, you can literally start with your phone. You do not have to have all the fancy dancy slides and even the platform that I'm using right now. You can simply go live from your phone and you'll be in good shape, right? So when I say that it's easy and affordable, I really mean that. The other thing as far as the affordability is when you're doing live stream, you come as you are. You don't necessarily have to have a production. So you don't have to go and invest in someone producing, because once you really get comfortable and good at this thing, look, you jump on live, you go through your flow, and I'll teach you how to do all that, by the way, in the Launch Your Live Stream program later. But when you adopt a flow and you have your systems in place, you can literally just go and then take that thing and run with it and let it put the word out for you. Let it showcase your credibility for you without a whole ton of investment. So there are super duper amazing benefits to going live. There are more, but these are the three that I wanted to highlight for purposes of today. And again, if you do have questions, I see that there are others that are popping in. So feel free to say hello and let me know where you're from. I am here and I'm watching for comments and questions, so I definitely want to make sure to address you if I can. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about tip one. I have three specific tips I really want to dive into with this first lesson of the three, okay, or of the four. When we talk about planting your flag, one thing that I think is a common, I'm not going to say it's an issue, but it's something that a lot of us tend to face when we first start out doing live streaming video. We think we have to talk to everyone. We have to be everything for everybody. But I want to give you a little relief and tell you that that is not the case. You don't have to be everything for everybody. You can't even do that in your real life, in your regular life, right? I know that there are probably a lot of different strains and drains on your time right now. There's a lot of information overload. There are a lot of people that want something from you. And so you have to really kind of think about that. And if you don't want to be everything for everybody in your regular everyday life, you certainly don't have to be everything for everybody when it comes to doing your live stream videos. So let me just make that clear and let you know you have permission. You have permission to define who it is you want to play in the sandbox with, okay? So let's talk a little bit about that. You know, when you invite someone to the dinner table, you're not inviting people from all over the entire world to come into your house. What you're doing is you're inviting specific people. You're thinking about those who you feel a sense of camaraderie with, those who you feel connected to, those who you really want to break bread with, right? And you get to define that with your live streaming audience as well as you do with any other type of media and content that you're putting out there. You have an opportunity to really define that. And the thing I want to tell you is you are not an airline. So if you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling like, well, but I have to broadcast to everybody. I have to be open to everyone in the world with this message. You know, there are rare situations, there are instances where a message and a theme and what you share on video can literally reach everyone. There are. But you probably are not going to start out that way, because as someone who typically is going to be a coach, consultant, or course creators, those are the women that typically fit into my audience and scope. When you are a solo service provider or when you have a small team, one of the things that you have to think about is that you have a limited budget, right? You got limitations as to where you're going to spend your time advertising and promoting. Everybody can't and won't fly with you. You are not an airline. You are an individual who has a message that needs to be shared with the specific people that are intended to be a part of your space. This is one of the reasons why, to be honest with you, I do not anymore. When I first started in video, actually, when I first started as a coach 15 plus years ago, I felt a sense of dread anytime someone would unsubscribe from my email list. I was like, oh my God, I had people unsubscribe today. And, you know, I'd go off in the corner and feel like, man, what did I do wrong? And I'd start asking myself these questions like, okay, I must have said something wrong, or I just didn't meet their needs, or what can I change so that everyone will be happy with me? And again, I'm here to give you that permission, that permission that you don't have to be everything for everybody. And you don't, now I feel over time, when you get tenured and a little bit more mature in your business, I feel a sense of accomplishment when I begin to purge and prune my list. When someone unsubscribes, I thank them. I thank them for the opportunity to really purge my list so that it will be exactly what it's intended to be, so that the people that are watching are exactly who need to be watching. The people who are reading my emails are exactly the people who are meant to receive that message. They are connected to me and I'm connected to them. I don't like to feel that sense of disconnect. And so it makes me happier that I begin to prune and really fine tune. And so I look at it more as fine tuning now than ever before. Thank you, Lynette, for watching. I appreciate that. And be safe on your travels. I see your note. Yes. And Virginia, I see that this is a good note, and I want to speak to this. I look back at my videos and seem to be undecided who would be my audience because it varies. And it absolutely can vary. So don't get me wrong in telling you that you can't have a varied audience. But what I want to be clear on is, as a solopreneur or as a coach, consultant, or a course creator, if you're in those spaces, you really want to be defined about who it is you want to talk to. It doesn't mean it's going to be to the exclusion of others who can benefit from your message, but it means that you want to get clear because you want to be clear on where you're going to spend your marketing dollars to promote and advertise. It means that you want to be clear, and I'm so glad, Lynette, that you made it. It means that you want to be clear on how you can go about reaching the people that you're meant to reach. Okay? So when you're clear on who, then you're more likely to be clear on your how. I hope that helps to clarify a little bit. Okay, let me talk a little bit more on this thing here, because here's some of the dangers. When you're not clear, and Virginia, this could apply to you or anyone else who might be watching. When you're not clear, trying to speak to everyone and make everyone happy can be a drain. Okay? It can be a drain on you. It can make you feel like what I mentioned when I talked about the email system, because I felt like I needed to be the best for everyone. And again, I want you to equate this to your personal situation. When you have so many people reaching out to you and pulling on you, and just imagine all these hands that are saying, I want this and I want that, you're going to be in 1,000 different directions. But when you have made a decision to partner up and to invite a certain type of person, a certain demographic to your table, it's going to feel, you'll have that connection. You're going to feel more emotionally intact and not like you're divided in 100,000 pieces. And it also will be like freedom. I just explained or shared the example of when I started to see and revamp the way that I think about my email as to a pruning process so that I can grow. Because now, as I lose those people who really weren't meant for me, I leave space, that law of the vacuum, I leave space for others who are meant to be with me, who are meant to be attracted to what I talk about, who are meant to buy and invest in the services that I offer. I leave the space in the room for them. Your videos won't get noticed if you're all over the place. That's another really key consequence of being too broad, because when you're undefined, what happens is the social platforms don't know where to put you. They don't know how to categorize your content. And so it makes it harder for you to get the visibility you're going after because you're all over the place. You're talking about cats one day, you're talking about food the next day, you're talking about politics on day 3, you're talking about all these things that are all over the place, and it's going to make it difficult for the social spaces to really know how to even promote you. And so therefore, they just won't. Your videos won't show up. So I don't know if I can get more clear than that, but you want to be as comfortable about who you're inviting to your table and what your topic is going to be, which we're going to talk about next. You want to get as clear as you possibly can so that it will be easier for you to be categorized. Now, I know some of you are like, oh, I don't fit into a category. I am all things to all people. I'm a multi-talented. I know. Multi-passionate, passionate, variant. I've heard all those terms. I get it. But what I'm suggesting to you is if you don't buckle down and figure out where your content should fall, if you can't figure out the theme, the social platforms aren't going to figure out the theme either. And specifically, if you're trying to play in a space like YouTube or Pinterest, they don't know where to put you. And so therefore, all that hard work and effort and you trying to show up and get an audience will go to nothing because you won't get seen. It's that clear. Lynette, I'm trying to be honest and real with people here. I am. So, choosing a core theme. Let's talk a little bit about that. I'm going to dive into that real quick here, and then we'll go to or part 3 of this lesson. And again, in case you're coming in later, I just want to pop up real fast and show you that we're talking about how to simply start streaming. And this is lesson 1, how to plant your flag. Okay, planting your flag, letting your flag fly so that people know who you are and who you're talking to. They know, they identify themselves as you talking to them. They identify themselves as being a part of your audience. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this whole choosing a core theme. When you choose a theme, one of the things that I can absolutely tell you that has been magical for me and for my business over the last couple of years is getting clarity, because I have, as I mentioned earlier, been in business for myself while juggling other things such as a corporate job and kids and all the things. I have been in business for myself for 15 plus years now. But never have I ever been as clear as I am now. I've gone through a number of different iterations. And for those of you who are hashtag OGs, who have been here for some time with me, you've seen that transition. You've seen the transformation in my business and how much more confident and clear I have gotten on my content, because I'm now able to clearly tell a story that relates to the people that I'm speaking to. I'm now able to set a path and to say, this is what I talk about. This is my strength. This is where you can come to. I'm here for you to help you with this pain point. Okay? I can offer you these solutions, free and paid, because my story has led me to this spot. So when you're thinking about how to actually consider what the core theme is, I want you to really look back on your own life and to ask yourself some questions. People are going to be much more likely to listen to you if they have an idea of what they can expect when they show up for your streams. If they don't know if it's going to be a hodgepodge, it is all over the place, they're probably going to be less likely to show up because they showed up for you on video one because you were talking about something that really hit home. It hit here and it hit here, right? And then when you got on video two and video three, they were like, yeah, there's no connection because I don't have a problem in that area, right? So they're going to be more likely to listen if they have an idea of what to expect. And so when you are clear on what your story is and your story leads you into a core theme, here's a couple of questions that you can ask yourself to help get clear on that theme. What is it you love to talk about? What do you just get really giddy and excited about? Look, now I get excited about talking about live streaming because I can clearly tell the story of how it helped me to build or rebuild a dead brand, a brand that had been overwhelming enough. And I say overwhelming because I was self-inflicting wounds into my business by just constantly putting out content that nobody cared about. I was constantly out there, but not getting seen because I wasn't using the methods that the spaces where I was trying to play were telling me I needed to use. They were saying, you need to do more video. You need to do live streaming. And I was like, no, 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 no. I'm doing my own thing. No. Which, by the way, I'm doing right now when it comes to Reels and TikTok. No, no, no. But I do see the power. I do see the benefit. So, what do you love to talk about? What topic are you getting follow-up questions about? Is there something that you talk about to your friends, to your business colleagues, to your clients? And when you talk about this topic, they say, okay, well, I have a follow-up question. Because if they have a follow-up question and there's a series of questions, look at here, that becomes a series of videos. That becomes content that you now can leverage, that you can now turn into products, that you can now turn into services, right? But you've got to build the credibility in that space. And you've got to feel good about and feel the flow and the natural ease of speaking about these things. When you can do that, you can leverage that into a whole business offering, right? So ask yourself if you can't right now really think about and get clear on what your core theme is. And again, I've already mentioned to you some of the consequences of not doing so will mean that you just won't get the leverage that you want. You won't get the visibility that you want because the social platforms are going to be like, we don't know what her expertise is. We don't know. So when you can think of those things that flow naturally and easily for you, the power of that is you show up as powerful. You show up as beautiful. You show up as knowledgeable. You show up as, oh my God, I love talking about this. Like your light shines through your videos and through your content, right? What is the core theme? What is the core theme? Yes, thinking hard, Lynette. I love it. I love it. Look, don't think too hard. I want you to flow. I want you to let these things come to you. Sit down and journal, which I'm going to talk about in just a second, okay? And I'm trying to go light because we will go deeper in our Launch Your Live Stream program next month. But I want to go light with the series and give you some things to simply start streaming. And again, for those of you who are just coming in, that is the purpose of this program, this series that I'm doing here in my live video space the next 3 weeks after this first one. Plant Your Flag is lesson 1. Okay, so we're going to do a deeper dive a little later. Okay, so ask yourself those questions. Get some clarity behind the themes that you can work on, and that's going to make it easier as well for you to come up with buckets of content. You're going to get your journal out. I love it. Lynette, we are like in sync right here. We're in sync. We're in sync. Okay, this is the final tip that I'll share, and then we'll get ready to close out. The final tip is this. Tip 3, be who you are. Be who you are. If you want to plant your flag, you have to first of all showcase yourself to be who you are. There is nothing like you getting on a live stream. And here, I need to share this, and I want you to really like hear me on this because I struggled with this at first. I thought that I had to either be one of two extremes. I thought that I had to be either the really loud and super excited and extroverted person on camera that I am not in real life. I am an introvert. I am a thinker. I like to process information. I like to see big picture and then shrink it down into the smaller details. I know who I am now. And maybe that came with maturity at age. I don't know. But I feel better about who I am, and I know that I am comfortable and confident in being that person on camera. But I thought at first that I needed to put on this mask and be this extrovert that I really wasn't. The other extreme is I felt like coming from corporate America that I had to be this person who was always polished. So I went from one extreme to the next. Always polished, always professional, had this like, the outlines and the worksheets, which you still see me with these slides, right? But I felt like I had to have all the things perfect. And that perfectionism kept me from going full speed ahead. It kept me from getting on camera for a long time because I felt like everything had to be just right and all the lights had to be green before I ever pulled out of the garage. Right? Yes. Yes. And you feel like you have to look a certain way or be a certain way. But I'm so happy that you like yourself, Lynette. And that's the key. I feel like that is so important that you need to embrace who you are fully and completely. And you know what? It's a process. So it may not happen on day one of your video streaming or day two or day three, but over time, you're going to be more proud of yourself for doing what you do, and you're going to really get comfortable in your skin. The more you and I work together, especially, this is one of my gifts, is exhortation, is the ability to be able to encourage people to be their full self. There is nobody in the world like you. So if you're struggling with this particular point right now, what I want you to do this weekend is I want you to sit down and I want you to journal. I want you to write a love letter to yourself. Write a love letter to yourself, and I want you to say self or write it with your name. Okay? Dear, put your name. And then I want you to write a letter to yourself about how much you love yourself. What are all the things? Get real specific and real detailed. What are the things that you absolutely love about yourself? And I want you to think about the last 5 to 10 years. What have you overcome? What are the things that people thought you would never actually make it through, but you did? What are the successes that you're the most proud of? What are the wins, little and big? I want you to write a love letter to yourself about those things. And you'll be amazed at how transformational that can be. Yes, I love it. Do that. Write that love letter, girl. Write it. Write it. I love it. Okay, so do that because by being yourself in all the ways you can be yourself, it's going to encourage others to be more brave. And I promise you this is truth. I need to share with you all a clip. I'll have to do that. I need to put it together this weekend. But of our latest Creator Day in our Stream Bosses Academy. Stream Bosses Academy was a gift to me. These ladies just don't know. I came up with the idea, but they have really birthed something amazing in the academy. What we talked about are some of the things that hold us back as women. And we talked about whether you're black or white or you're brown or different shades of brown and yellow and red, right? Or whether you're old or young, or whether you are larger or smaller, no matter what and who you are, we all have a space. We all have an opportunity to play a role. And if we do that, when we show up differently than those who fit into the mold, right? The mold of the average guru or person that's supposed to be on camera. When we show up, because again, I'm an introvert and I thought I had to be somebody who was more extroverted. I had to be different, right? Than what I was meant to be. I had to be somebody else in order to be successful. That's what I kept telling myself at first, and I held back. And when I decided to show up, I had people come on and tell me things like this. They said, I love that you don't always get dressed up, and sometimes you wear a baseball cap, and oftentimes you wear a t-shirt when you come on live. I love that. And I was like, oh, I love that because it made me comfortable to do the same. It made me feel like I didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to go get dressed up, and I didn't have to put on makeup, and I didn't have to do hair a certain way. I didn't have to wear a wig, right? I didn't have to be another race or ethnicity or gender. I didn't have to be a certain age. These are things that women are really telling me. Because you choose to show up, you're going to encourage other people like yourself to show up. And I cannot tell you the power of that. I can only say that you will see it when you do decide to go live. So I'm about to, yes, woman, and I'm not trying to make you cry. I'm not, because I'm not going to cry on here right now. But when I heard this from these ladies in our Creator Day recently, it just reaffirmed that you're meant to be here. You are meant for video. You are. And yeah, you can do all these things. You can certainly wear different wigs and have different colors and show up however you choose to. That's the beauty of this. You don't have to be a certain way. So I just want to encourage you and to tell you, by being yourself, you get to encourage others to be more brave. You get to encourage others to be more brave. So that brings me to the end of today's presentation and lesson. And I'm sitting up here sniffing because I was about to cry and didn't realize it. But plant your flag is lesson 1. So if you want to simply start streaming, get on camera, do all the things that I shared with you. There were several different lessons that we talked about. Here, I'll try to do a real quick walkthrough with you of what those were. I need to go back. I should have had a summary slide. That's okay. But we talked about tip number 1 being to define your audience. We talked about tip number 2 being to choose a core theme. And then we talked about tip number 3, be yourself. Be who you are. If you can do those 3 things, you're on your way to simply start streaming. All right, it's been an amazing time for me. I love your comments and your chat here. And if you have other thoughts or questions, don't hesitate to reach out. If there's something that's really pulling at you and you want to talk about it, put that into the comments. I'm paying attention, or DM me. I'm paying attention. I am, and I will respond. I'm very responsive. Okay, I hope you have an amazing day. I'm going to head off and get ready for my next call. And I will see you on next week. So I will definitely share the schedule inside of our various platforms. Let me make sure I do this. I'm going to pop up this. You also, thank you for being here with me. Let me pop this up so that you have a link in case you're not already a part of our space. StreamLikeAboss.tv will give you our latest and greatest schedule, and you'll also be able to subscribe for updates and our weekly newsletter that I do by video. And I also collect a number of different articles that I share every week on video marketing and content marketing and being a great human. It's called The SIP, Streamers in Progress. Okay, so get connected, y'all, and I will go ahead and close it out. And I will see you next week for lesson 2. Okay? Setting the stage where we're talking some techie stuff, but still keeping it simple so you can simply start streaming. All right. Have an amazing rest of the week and weekend. Take care.